Hey folks, welcome back again. So I'm gonna keep trying to do this and see how it goes. So here's a little tool explanation. For hand stitching, there's quite a few different ways to go. Um, one of the old school ways is to use a stitching wheel like this. It marks your stitches, so you roll across the leather, pushing pretty good, and it'll leave these pretty uniform little marks there, and they're just pinpricks basically that then you need to make larger with a hole punch like this, or also sometimes people will use a what is called a diamond chisel. Now there's also multi-hole punches like these. See, now they come in different spacings. So this one here is 6 millimeters, and this one is 5 millimeters. Different ones, you do them differently, but most of them they are measured from the center of the hole to the center of the next hole. It's handy to have different sizes because you can deal with drift between two different pieces of leather if they're going around a curve and you're making the stitching holes. Because of the way geometry works, the thickness of the leather is going to change the spacing holes when you go around the curve. So on the outside leather, they're going to be a little wider, and then as you go around a curve, the inside curve is going to be a little bit smaller, so those stitching holes will be a little closer. But it is very handy because so that you can see these ones have 6, and so you can put 6 holes at a time. But if you are going around curves, it's it's not going to matter. You can't use the straight lines in a curve. So in some curves, depending on how much you can get away with, well, here, let me use all the same size. You can get away with using the 4-hole, and see how I'm hanging it in the last hole. But then if you need to go around an actual curve, you can use the 2-hole, which that'll keep your spacing always the same. So you're only creating one hole at a time with the 2-hole, because you hook it into the one before it. But that keeps your spacing completely uniform. So you can see how even though through all this contour, the spacing stays exactly the same. And that's what's going to keep your stitching looking good. So I just want to show you too with the diamond chisels what you get when you use them. Not sure how well it's going to show up when I hold it up there, but you can see it has a lot different profile of the hole than the other ones, than the actual hole punches. Hopefully you can see it. And what actually ends up happening with the diamond chisel, if you can see, I'm not positive without seeing the camera in, but there's a shape to it that causes the thread to really get a nice twist when you stitch it, to where it goes from the top side to the bottom to the top to the bottom when it's going across. And that's a pretty aesthetic look that a lot of people like. You can get it to a certain extent through the round holes, with depending on how you place your needles when you're doing saddle stitching, and I'll show a video about that at a later date. But today I just wanted to talk about the different methods of hole punching. And there is always the single hole, which I mean, that's the only thing with that is that without some sort of guide like this here, it's hard to keep your spacing real uniform the whole time. But yeah, that's one of the basic needs you would have to start doing some hand stitching. That and a nice mallet. I use these ones. There's also like the starter ones kind of look like this. This one is a pound and a quarter, but I also have larger ones. This one here is oh, I said that wrong. This one's actually 12 ounces, and this one is a pound and a quarter. And then I also have another one like this. It's just a different shape, but it's still it's a large one. And the thing with the larger ones is when you're using the multi-hole punches, I really have to hit it a few times with this one to get it to go through the whole time. But with one of these, you don't. It's just a one and done. And that really speeds you up to where you're, that can, and this is a very tedious and, time-taking process, and there's no way about it when you have to punch the holes like this first before you can even stitch it together. So anything like these or the larger hammer to speed up the process is extremely useful. Well, I hope this helps some of you guys. Everybody, be good to yourselves.